Hello everybody, this is Ollie Bilson and I am with Mr.
Tom Breeze.
Even better introduction, thank you. Well, welcome everyone. I am excited for today's episode because in one of our previous episodes we spoke with Tom about a new opportunity that he has with YouTube. And what we wanted to do in this episode was just kind of dissect that, go through it and go through the thought process of this new opportunity, this new idea, and let you come along for the ride and kind of look over our shoulder, really, and while we chew the fat on it and decide what the hell you're going to do about it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, for listeners and viewers, the whole idea of this podcast to begin with was so that Ollie and I could ask each other questions and get our advice from each other. And we thought it'd be what a great podcast to have if people just eavesdrop into our conversations. And as you can tell, we actually have these conversations with each other and find them very useful. But also, you tend to get the waffle at the start, and so I apologise for that. It's not straight into content every single time, but some people seem to like it, right? So that's always good. Yeah, so more recently, I've been chatting with the team, and we've been looking into what we can do with YouTube. So I've had many YouTube channels in the past talking about things around, like in a long time ago, public speaking and fear of public speaking. More recently, talked about like video and kind of like video SEO and video conversion and all that sort of stuff on my Tom Breeze TV channel, I think it was. And I still have that content out there, still kind of sending me traffic every single day, which is great. But I've moved the business to the agency, and so it's a slightly different audience now. And when we've been thinking in the past, like about the agency and how we promote ourselves, a bit like what we do with this podcast, we don't want to necessarily go flat out and say, here's what we want to do and get clients straight away. That's useful, of course, but we're not in a state where we're looking for clients every single day. We're lucky enough to have a lot of people be referred, and we've done a lot of content marketing, do a lot of presentations, so we tend to get a lot of really good prospects coming through all the time. So we're in a fortunate position there. But I definitely do want to have a YouTube channel for the agency and something that people actually love to engage with. And let's face it, video advertising, for those people into it, is great. For those people that aren't necessarily really passionate about it, and especially with YouTube as well, it's one of those things where it's like, okay, yeah, that's kind of interesting, but it's not something that's going to be kind of like you want to tune in each week. If you miss an episode, you're going to be like, that's fine, I don't mind. It's not like you're going to be like, I can't make a daily show out of it, for example. We've thought about doing lots of things like reviews, interviews, that sort of stuff as well in the past. And I just thought it just hasn't hit the nail on the head just yet, and I don't feel fully comfortable that we've got the right theme for a YouTube video just yet. Oh, YouTube channel, sorry. And this is a question that I think a lot of brands ask themselves as well. It's like, personal brands are quite easy because you're just giving your opinions, giving your expert authority on things. When it comes to a brand, it's a little bit more difficult because it's like you've got to consider what you're saying a little bit more carefully sometimes. Or maybe you don't want to do off-the-cuff videos. Maybe you want to be very professional all the time. And you've got to think about that a little bit. But what we've just kind of been thinking about very recently is the idea of creating a YouTube channel with the challenge to get to 1 million subscribers. Now, in the space that we're in with marketing, advertising, that's not going to be easy, getting to 1 million subscribers to your YouTube channel just yet. And you might be thinking, well, what's the value of that as well? Is there a value, like there was on Facebook a while ago, to have loads and loads of like people, followers of your page? That kind of died off a little bit. But with YouTube, it's like the first micro commitment, or one of the first micro commitments. Not that many people will go and like your video if you ask them to. Not that many people comment on the videos either. But a lot of people do subscribe. It's like the first micro commitment. They may not want to go to your website just yet. They may not want to opt in just yet. But the great thing about subscribers is that it's like an email list, really, because you get all the subscribers on your channel. And then you can, when you release a new video, those people will be notified. And they'll see new content from you. And if you're providing them with really good content and stuff they want to be passionately involved with, then they're going to keep on tuning in, watching more videos, And then every now and again, you can have a call to action. You can say, hey, look, if you've liked this content, you find it really useful, you can kind of sign up here for our free training, or you can sign up here for our paid training, or whatever you wanted to promote at that point, whatever seems most logical as you're doing your videos. And so we've kind of come up with this challenge of how do we get to 1 million subscribers? And the way that we're thinking about doing it, and by all means, this is like embryonic stage, so we haven't thought this through at all just yet. But I wanted to discuss it with you, Ola, and get your opinion and your thoughts and your input. But I was kind of thinking like almost like documenting how we're going to do it. So as we do it, we kind of say, okay, like we release a video or 5 videos or whatever, and then every 5th video we might have another video just to give a bit of an update of like, okay, so here's where we're at. We released 5 videos recently. The view rates are really high. People are really engaging with this content, but we're finding it's not getting very many subscribers, or we're just basically documenting our journey to try and get this goal, and walk it through, show people what works, what doesn't work, what we're trialing out, different types of videos, different types of targeting, different types of ads we might run, different types of promotion we might run, get people on board to see if they can help do interviews, do reviews of stuff, see what kind of content resonates best, and document it all as we go. So it feels like people can join this journey to not necessarily help us get to the 1 million, but more a case of like, if you're interested in how to build a YouTube channel, we're going to go through all the trials and tribulations and all the good stuff, all the bad stuff, and just be very transparent with the whole promotion as we go, but start from nothing. Start from a channel that's like day one. So I thought that'd be quite a cool documentary style kind of account to build, basically. And go through it.
I like it. I like it a lot, and it reminds me of something that, and obviously the medium really panders to, you know, what you're about and you know, the audience that you're building there. I think a few years ago now, I sat in it was New Year's Eve, and I sat in somebody's lounge, and we were talking about the past year and what had happened, and I said, what I've been chewing on the idea of is actually creating a business over the next 12 months where I document how I went from 0 to £1 million, not $1 million, £1 million within a new business. Kind of how we did that, what the thought process was, and the idea of documenting that and having it as a, you know, a documentary showing what I was doing, and then recording the results and you know, publicly disclosing everything. You know, it could have been a huge failure, or, you know, and you know, you always have these self-limiting beliefs in a certain way that you're either letting people in too much, you know, you're giving them the keys to the castle, so to speak, or actually it could be the best thing that you could ever do because it shows a certain sense of vulnerability, yes. And so I think that's very endearing as well. And regardless of the outcome, I suppose, good or bad, of anything that happens, it's real. And people like that. And I know a couple of things that, and just so everybody knows, no, I didn't do that. But here was the good news. In less than 12 months, I actually did do that. So that's actually real. I actually did go from 0 to 7 figures in a year. And just because, you know me, I'm not competitive at all.
I feel a butt coming up.
Somebody was in the room and they said to me, well, have you ever done that before? And I said, no. And they said, so what makes you think you can do it now? I was like, well, I don't necessarily have to answer that, but I will, just because I believe that I can. And that's all you need to know. So just 2 fingers to the person that said that, who remembers that conversation right now, who might be listening to this. So any case, I think that, you know, what you're looking to do is it could work very well. And I know a couple of things that I've been following recently that's out there at the moment. Russell Brunson's new book, Expert Secrets. I've watched him, not really got caught up in the promotional stuff that's been going on with that, but actually more so what he'd been doing on the documentary side of that, and that's been very insightful and very watchable. And I think that's the thing, you want something that's quite watchable. I definitely I like it. I like that style. I mean, that just might be just me, but I think that other people would feel the same way. And there's very few people for me that I actually do follow and would subscribe to their channel anyway. I don't want to get bombarded by stuff. But when it's something that I think that the behind the scenes, over the shoulder, thing, it has a different perspective on things for most people. And because you're an authority already, you'll have in less than the next 3 to 6 months a best-selling book internationally coming very soon.
Well, I'm not sure that's the best-selling just yet, but it'll be out there. It'll be hopefully selling.
Sure. What you probably are saying is that you'd like to hire an agency that would be able to get you a #1 bestseller and all of the associated things. Anyway, you'd have to speak to my team about that. But I think that it would work very well. The other thing is as well, and it's a slight slant. I think the thing is with any of these things is going into something with too much intent over doing it in a certain way, a certain format. Every single time, because you don't know what people are going to consume if you vary the format and the script, the rhythm up a bit. And I know just recently, somebody that I follow a lot is a guy called Noah Kagan. And Noah runs a company called AppSumo and AppSumo and Sumo Me, and has these very short videos that he's been producing. If you look back in his YouTube channel, he'd done all of these different type of videos in the past, and then he got very specific in this sort of rhythm of video he did, and then he switched it up. And what he actually, what I can see from his stats, from what I can see, the number of views spiked massively. He kind of got this audience that was watching these types of videos. Then he changed it into this sort of interview style, which then spiked his views. And there might be, there's going to be a number of things that could have caused that. I think it's just interesting to mix up the format to figure out who's watching what and why, if you can, and that would be my kind of take on it for sure.
Try and find the right theme or something along those lines, because I know consistency is important, but what I don't want to get into is this situation where we have to create content every single time we do a video. And likewise, I don't think it's going to be great for engagement if we just batch 20 videos together and say, there you go, here's 20 videos. We might do a bit of that just to kickstart the campaign or whatever, and we'll document what we do. But I'd almost be okay, let's create a video today. There's no good reason why it has to be today. If we wanted to create 3 today, we can do. And we might kind of slow drip those out a little bit. But I don't want it to be this project that's... I want it to be a project that we look after and take care of and do it properly. But I don't want it to be a massive stress because I've already got the agency to be... I want my agency to be occupied.
And it's quality, isn't it? It's that quality rather than quality... quality rather than quality.
Yes.
Unbelievable. You know what?
It's always quality over quality.
It was the path to purchase screen going off that just made me think quality, and I just couldn't get it out of my head. So I'm just circle back around on that. It is quality rather than quantity, and I know I watched somebody recently that committed to doing this. These behind the scenes Gary Vaynerchuk style videos every day, took a videographer wherever he was going and kind of, talked to the camera. They started off okay. The quality of the production was very high. The quality of the content was mediocre. And it's just gradually just got worse and worse and worse and worse. And really what he's holding on to is the quality of the production and the way that that's done, rather than the underlying message. You come out of it feeling quite empty. You feel quite engaged by the look and the feel and the way that it's cut and produced. But then you actually feel quite empty from the fact of you know what, I just wasted my time watching this. I mean, it was nice watching how well it was done, but the content was just, it was very tepid. You know, there was very, very surface level. I think there's a danger of when people do that, because then it's like, oh, for some people, and probably not your ideal customers, they like it still, because they see it as you've almost celebritized yourself with this high-end production. But actually, the people that really know and probably, you know, ultimately would be pushed, you would push them away, are the people that would engage with the actual content that was going on. And I think it's that balance that you're always up against.
Yeah, I think a lot of people have, and this is fair to say, I believe, like, I think a lot of people that see Gary Vaynerchuk want to emulate that. And what I normally see is like it's ego over anything else. So it's like, look at me, look at how great I am, and it comes with an undercurrent of that constantly. And so I'm not a big fan of that sort of promotion. And I don't know if it's my personality or whatever it is, but like, it's almost like I want people to find it, discover it at whatever episode, and be like, my God, this is amazing. Like, that's kind of like my feel behind it. It's not the fact it's me. It's not kind of like, don't focus on me, focus on what we're doing here. And like, yes, it's me that's probably going to be presenting the vast majority of it, but I'm looking to try and be like, hey, look, I'm doing this for the viewers, but I'm doing it with a massive benefit to me also, because I feel like once you get to a high number of subscribers, you release a new video, and if 700,000 people watch it for free, I think that like the benefit of that is huge. Because it's like, if everyone gets notifications to the phone, people talk about it, you'll get like big kind of like presentation opportunities. You'll get all these different things, the ramifications of it, not just straight, we're doing it to get clients, but it's more a case of like, we're doing this to challenge it, but also we're going to be doing it mainly for R&D for ourselves. So it's like, all right, okay, so we've worked out that, let's say, for example, we promoted this ad to get subscribers, and those subscribers, when we release a new video, are likely to convert. And it's like, if we know that, it's like it's a one-time hit for the subscriber cost, and it might be like much cheaper than acquiring a lead, then you follow up with organic videos or maybe other ads that are then like high content videos, follow people up, then it's kind of like, we might just find some new avenues for advertising, or kind of like be like, okay, we've got to build a subscriber base because that's the asset that you want to build. It's a bit like having a large email database. It's like, you can go back to that email database and tap into it to make a lot of sales, and the money's in the list, or maybe the monies are in the YouTube subscribers too.
Yeah, sure. So I think that the other thing is that's always on my mind, if it haven't crossed anyone else's while they're listening to this, is as Stephen Covey says, start with the end in mind. You know, what is, and the good thing is you've already got a goal. So you've already got this lofty goal, but it's still a goal nevertheless, of reaching a target number. But beyond that, I would have, coming into it with some level of intent over what are the byproducts of this? Because one thing that we know, there'll be associated opportunities that will be generated that might not be so obvious from the beginning. For example, I was on a podcast episode as a guest host, and I got approached to do a paid speaking engagement. And then from the paid speaking engagement, there was 2 clients that came out of that. And then so when you look at these things, there's that rub off that almost happened organically because of it. And I think that with what you're doing there, then there certainly may be. But having consideration of those things from the beginning allows you to then think, well, maybe I need to produce a media kit, or maybe I need to produce something that I probably don't have as an asset that's going to allow me to leverage that in the right way, so that I'm not just thinking that this is going to serve and provide great value into the audience and hope that something bubbles up as a result of it. There's something more kind of left field about maybe there's actually another opportunity here which we haven't really thought of, and what are the things that I need to consider with that so I could act on it quickly. That's probably what my thoughts would go to. And it's not until you start something you start to get led by, we're getting a good level of subscribers here. What does that mean? and who are they and what's the makeup of those, and just like video views on Facebook and then being able to create better retargeting ads, you immediately go to, well, what was an interesting metric now becomes another opportunity. And then maybe those people are actually getting different videos. Maybe those people steer where you take this, and ultimately it has to serve a purpose within the marketing mix of the business. I feel anyway, and that's one of the reasons why, although we all could, do those types of behind the scenes videos, and you and me have both got video teams, so it's much easier for somebody like us to do it. It also comes down to focus as well of actually where do I put my time, and what ultimately is going to have a multiplication in terms of revenue for me as an ROI based on that activity. Now you have a lot more free time than me, Tom. So quite frankly, I mean, the thing is as well that people forget, and there's a caveat to that, is when people enjoy business, they actually enjoy doing business. They just enjoy it. It's some of these things which some people perceive as that's not the right way to spend your time, it's kind of irrelevant, because if you enjoy it and it doesn't encroach on other things that are meaningful to you, then why not do whatever you want to do if it's serving you in the right way? I mean, that's the answer, really,
Yeah, I mean, you look at it from a perspective of well, why are you doing what you're doing? And if you're not enjoying what it is you're doing, it's like maybe you're looking to build and sell or something along those lines. But in my agency, I actually genuinely enjoy going to work every day, which is great. And I feel like we're ready for a new project alongside the agency to support the agency, and see where we can take it. But yeah, it's a bit like these conversations documenting. It's like I'm picking up information from you and processing it and be like, okay, cool, I'm going to adapt that a little bit. So this kind of podcast does two things. One, it does you and I have a chat and I can get some insight and some feedback. And likewise, hopefully the viewers gather some useful information, because the questions I ask might be the same questions they would ask, and vice versa.
Vice versa.
I can't even say those words. Vice versa, you might be asking me questions and I can give you advice based on what I know. And so the viewer can pick up two brains and two different
I think,
things.
though, there's something that maybe the people listening to this might... some people definitely would have got, but at a higher level, I just wanted to put some perspective on. At the phase of business where you are, that is an international advertising agency predicated solely on running profitable YouTube advertising, to the all of the names under the sun that we all know so well. You are at a different phase of business. The purpose behind doing some of the activities that we talk about here need to have some perspective around it for probably some of the people that are listening, that actually this brand play is the right play for your phase of business. You're not necessarily doing this, I just want to be clear about it, you're not necessarily doing this for authority, credibility, and expert status, or for ego. I think that those things, people maybe listening to this, if they wanted to create one of those three things within their business, YouTube may well be a medium to do it, but probably not investing their time in a channel like you're suggesting. They would probably be better spending their time in doing some kind of ads, paid ads, and having that, building that with information first, teaching, showing, and solidifying that status of theirs, so that people begin to engage with that. But for you, I think it's just important to delineate that, to know, actually, no, my business means right now that we can actually put a thumbprint on this globally, but more from a branding standpoint, which is a different perspective, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. I think that if I was looking at doing this sort of project 2 years ago, I'd have been like, God, it's going to take a lot of time, and I don't have that time. I need to focus on building the business. We're at the phase now where, whilst I'm still building the business, it's activities like these that take us to the next level and take us to the next stage. the team I've built up, and they're working like really well with me. And so my day-to-day activity is dropping each day, giving me time to focus on things I should be focusing on, because whilst this won't give an instant ROI from day one, like an ad campaign would do, it's the sort of thing when I look back at it 3 years later, I'm like, a bit like writing a book, for example. It's like, I haven't written the book to get ROI from day one. It's to position the brand and position me and position everything we're doing. So like in 5 years' time, we look back and be like, because of all that work we did then, we're reaping the reward now. I wouldn't have got the introductions I've got through business when we're first starting out with campaigns and clients like that I would do now. If it makes sense. Like there were a few breakthroughs like for me in the agency where we kind of like I got to do some big presentations, got to get to access to great blogs to write on as well. Went on to some podcasts and things, and off the back of that point, all that education that I learned, all the application of all the theory, learning all this stuff, it builds up, and all of a sudden it's kind of like it takes it to a whole new level. And I feel like we're now at the stage where we're doing the same thing again. It's like, right, write the book, do this new project that no one else is doing, go into a whole new area, and we're looking to it's a bit more of a brand play in terms of not only for us, but looking to say, right, big household brands that we're looking to target and say, right, this is where we're going next. It's an interesting perspective to be like, okay, well, how would they view this? What would they look at this like? Will it take us to a whole new level? Because it's kind of like, and it's enjoying the process at the same time. So, yeah, you're right. I'm not looking at this like in terms of, well, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing right now is not looking at it from an ROI perspective from day like now. Bringing on clients it's like, all right, we're just bringing on a client that's going to increase our income, and it's also going to increase the workload. So it's got a bit of a balance because we might need a new team member, we might need all those sorts of considerations. But it's no longer, this is going to take more time from me. So it's allowing me to say, right, great, that's kind of running nicely. I'm there every day, and I'm working on some of the accounts myself as well. But it's my team I'm with, and it's those guys that are running the show now.
And it's the same thing with books. I know you mentioned, and I know that you're using somebody I'd recommended to you to help you with the book. And I think what's important as well is, we're talking about those phases of business that people go through. The objectives and the strategies, the tactics that get you from one phase to the other are different. And so you're in a different phase, and it's the same thing with writing a book. It may well be that some of the people listening to this, the purpose of how you're writing that book, it is, in your case, it is clearly articulating the path to purchase. It is clearly articulating the framework, the system, and the thinking behind these things. But it wouldn't necessarily work very well for somebody else to go into writing a book like that, because of the fact that that's not necessarily a lead generation book. I just received a book today from somebody, 101 fast, good, cheap hacks to writing a killer sales letter. That book is not a book that's in the same, that this person is not in the same phase of business, stage of business as you are. That is a lead generation tool. Now, to some degree, yours may be, but it's more brand, it's more positioning that sort of book is right for. And I've heard a few people recently, whether it be something like this YouTube idea that you're talking about, whether it be some kind of personal documentary with somebody following you around with a video camera, or whether it be writing books. And the thing that they never ever consider is, what are we trying to do here? What are we trying to, where are we trying to go with this? And I think that the reason why it had taken you some time, we spoke about it for the last few years, is this was the right time for you to make this move into some of these things. And actually, I think it's a great idea with the YouTube channel being quite supportive of that. But for other people, it's different, isn't it? It's that thought process of not necessarily thinking, oh, they've done it, I should do it. It's like, does that fit for me? Writing a book's a great thing to do. It's a great lead magnet. It's a great asset to have. to generate leads. But it's not necessarily going to be the book where you pull back the curtain and go behind the scenes of here's your matrix, your framework, your format of business. It's just not the right thing to do. So I just wanted to kind of bring some perspective to everyone listening, because that, to me, is something I've picked up on a lot. And people are very quick to jump to advice. Don't write a book like that. Don't record videos like that. Don't run ads like that. It's all with what's the purpose? Why are you doing what you're doing? And that's often the best place to start.
Well, that's so true. It's like, I think you go through phases as well of your own education in terms of like, when you first start out, you think you should be doing everything. And then you realize that, oh, I'm actually really good at this one thing. And we don't need all that other stuff we bought in the past. And then you get to the next phase where you're like, okay, we can do a load. And we know that we need to test more and do, and you almost like it gets to that point in which you don't know a lot of stuff again, sort of thing. So like, hence why we have these sort of conversations now. It's like, I need to pull on your expertise at some point, because I just know I don't know about some areas. And it's so important to kind of keep that in mind when building out for things, because it's like, I know that people go to these seminars, go to events, watch webinars, and they feel like, oh my God, it's been sold. I just bought this new product that they just didn't need. Or I'm going to write my book now. It's like, you haven't got anything to write about just yet. It could be anything. There's going to be certain times and phases where it is right for people to do certain things. But I know that I only get into things when I feel really comfortable with it. If something doesn't feel 100% ready for it, I'm like, I hold back until I do feel 100%, because then when it does feel 100%, you can go all in and it feels right. And so that was the time of the book, like about a year ago. And now with this YouTube challenge as well, it feels like, hey, look, we've got to do it, because I want to get into this and I want to understand how this works properly, because it's the next stage of the business. So yes, it's when it feels right. I think it's like sometimes when people go, oh, I'm going to go to this seminar, and they know it's going to be a pitch fest and they're going to take their credit cards with them. It's like, it's not the cash you're wasting, which is one thing, but it's actually the time you're not spending prioritizing what you should be doing. That's the big part of it, really. It's like, oh, I'm going to go and write this book. It's like, that book's not going to help you at this stage of your business. You need to prioritize on what it is you're doing and get really good at that. That's the thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think that we've seen this approach in slight deviation, I guess, when it comes to this podcast. But something I just want to share with people was, as you know, and I know that you do as well, we do a lot of work with information marketers, speakers, trainers, consultants, authors, and thought leaders, industry transformers. I don't know how many other words I've got for these people.
I liked industry transformers. You mentioned that the other day. I haven't heard that one before, so I like that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I definitely didn't make it up, but still.
Gurus as well. We forgot gurus.
Yeah, sure. And one of the mistakes that people make is they look, and there's nothing wrong with looking back and looking at how other people have structured their businesses, or how they initially structured their businesses. But what you come to realize is those business models evolve. And the typical kind of information marketing type business where there's a pyramid, not pyramid sales, but a pyramid, and there's an ascension ladder to the top of the pyramid. There is a newsletter business at the core, there is a coaching business, there's a mastermind leading up to private consulting, and and then a very, very top kind of the business we play in, which is the done for you business. But the way that that's structured is often with, basically on, if you've got enough money, then you can move up the pyramid. So the idea is you learn from us, you spend more money, you buy more products, you do all of this stuff that you may or may not need, and it gets you to the next step, and then you keep on investing, and then you have more money, and then the next thing you need, you go up to the next step, and often it's very much you can buy your way into what you think you need, and it's what you think you need. Now, the way that we often look at these things now is having a look at, instead of it being like a ladder with different tiers and stuff like that, it's just very much like, okay, what phase of business are you? Instead of looking at it like a pyramid, let's look at it more in a linear way from left to right or right to left. Let's have a think about it of like, okay, revenue from $0 to $100,000. Okay, likelihood is how many employees have you got? So you've got this many employees. Okay, good. What are your challenges between 0 to 100,000? And what does that mean for you? What should you focus on? Okay? And then so you can build your offerings around where people are. And the thing is, what people join for is different to what they stay for, and their problems change. When their revenue changes and the number of staff they have changes, and all of these are considerations. And so I just wanted to kind of bring that to the table, and we can talk about it in a different episode of how we think about and structure these info businesses these days and expert businesses, because it's very different to the way that it used to be, and it just talks to what you were just talking about there, and certainly where you're concerned of your phase of business and what your priorities are, very different.
Yeah, I think everything impacts it. Technology, different advances in what you're doing, and everything around that as well evolves as you grow as a business as well. So it's always fascinating to see how this grows. With conscious of time with this episode, because we can go on for a load more, and if we open up the next conversation, it could open up a whole can of worms. So why don't we do this? Why don't we, in the next episode, let's talk about some more of as we advance as business owners, and we have more growth and more team members and more clients and customers. Why don't we talk about what your experiences have been like going through that growth, and talk about kind of what learnings you can share with our listeners as well.
Great, yeah, look forward to that.
Nice one.
Good.
All right, buddy.
All right, Tom, I'll see you on the next one.
See you on the next one, buddy.